Hey guys, making a video again today. Probably the first time since moving to this apartment that I've made one where it's light outside instead of at night. It's because I took today off from work. Today's Monday. I'm going to talk about an experience I had last night that goes into the topic for today. Last night, probably around 2 a.m., I had to call EMS to my apartment because I thought I was about to have a heart attack. I was exhibiting, all the signs you would expect to see before having one, like pain in the arm at a single point, shortness of breath, and all the other symptoms and stuff. And this doesn't come without precedent. I've been dealing with other medical problems that I haven't really talked about before in my videos and stuff like that. So I didn't just, randomly have arm pain and just, have a panic attack thinking I'm having a heart attack or whatever, So last night that happened. They came and went, checked on me. Everything seemed to be fine. So I was just like, I'm taking today off. But that goes into the topic today, which is stubbornness / the fights you don't want to have with God because you want to pretend that something is not there that you just don't want to deal with. For a long time now, I've been dealing with health problems that I've just kind of ignored because of my, I used to have depression before becoming a real Christian quite often, but, now it's more come and go. I can get through it much easier because of God. And, but still, due to having it so much, it made me not really care that I was having health problems, really, I guess is how I should put it. I think deep down there was something in me that, honestly, I wanted it to, kill me, basically. I didn't want to think about it. I just wished it would kind of take me. I realized, after what happened last night, that God basically used what happened last night to get me to finally go to the doctor about all the problems I've been having, about the stubbornness I've been having to go actually care about my health and this and that, and the, like I said, just pretending the problems aren't there and not thinking about them so I don't have to, quote unquote, fight with God about it in prayer and stuff. So yeah, that's my topic from experience, which is don't be stubborn with God about stuff that's going on in your life. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse the longer you let these things go on that you just don't want to think about. For me, it wasn't just, I wish maybe some sickness would take me so I could just go to heaven. It was also anxiety that, I could have something that could require surgery and cost a lot of money. So I just didn't want to do it for several different reasons, but still, I most of the time just kind of tried to pretend there was nothing wrong so I didn't have to think about it. And that's a lot of us. Most of, if not all of us, have something where we just don't want to talk to God about it. If it comes into our head and, we feel God, maybe we're just praying or reading the Bible, or you were just at church or you're at church, and then randomly the thought comes into your head of something that you've been stubborn about. You quickly just kind of try to shoo it away out of your mind so you don't have to think about it. And that's wrong. There's a reason that God's putting that stuff into your mind. He just wants you to talk to him about it, whatever it is. It may be something that you don't want to talk to him about because of how it might play out in the real world physically. But if it's something like that where it's like God's just continually putting it on your heart to talk to him about or go to see someone else about, that he's sending you to do, don't ignore it or cram it back down into your memories to hopefully not have to remember, but you're going to remember anyway eventually. Yeah, for a while now, I've been having problems like with the right side of my chest, and it's gotten to the point where, or before I say that, I should say, for a long while now, I can't run due to health reasons. It's like when I start running, basically like the middle of my chest starts to like hurt really bad, as well as like this right side of my chest where I've had some problems in the past couple of months, and running really exacerbates the problem and hurts really bad, so I just stopped running and just doing walking instead. And then last night, I thought at first, to be honest, what was happening was there was like blood clots going on in my body, but I thought it could also be a heart attack. And this is because of, injuries and other things I've had going on that I just haven't really talked about. But just because it's hard to face, it seems so simple to say, but just because it seems hard to face doesn't mean you shouldn't face it. I know all of us would rather just push it away and not think about it, especially if we've got other things going on in our life that we're trying to do or accomplish. It could be that God's putting that stuff into your mind that you're being stubborn about because he wants you to fix it before he sends the next thing into your life. I think that's what's going on with me personally. I could be wrong, but I think for me personally, it's God wants me to be serious about my health problems before I get to the next chapter that he has for me. I'm not sure the extent of my problems or how long it's going to be to get whatever is wrong with me fixed, or if I even can fix it. But regardless, I'm going to try and do something about it because it's been made clear to me that God wants me to do something about it. Not just, it's not one of those situations where God wants me to sit here and pray to him about it and he'll just completely take it away through prayer and what happened last night and my other things. It's been pretty clear to me in my personal experience that he wants me to go to like an actual doctor about it. But for those of you who might be dealing with medical problems and that's your stubbornness that you've been having with God, it could be different. It could be that he does want you to just pray to him about it and just trust in him with it. It's not going to be the exact same person to person. Every one of us goes through different things and has different experiences. So I can't just sit here and give you like a one-size-fits-all answer to how to handle it. But just know that as long as you're giving into or holding on to stubbornness in your life for things that you just don't want to think about, you're just allowing it to get worse for no reason. know there might be social cost, actual money cost if it's health problems, job cost, relationship cost, whatever. I know it's not easy to think about things and you don't want to let go of stuff. But God tells us that, we shouldn't be trying to store up treasures in this world in the first place. That can be hard to swallow and actually believe. Because most of us can say, oh yeah, I agree with that, Jesus. I don't try to store up treasures here on earth, but a lot of us do. Whether it's money or friends or relationships or family or job or whatever. You'll realize when you get stubborn about stuff with God, that has become your treasure. And for me, it was also anxiety, like I said, but it was also money. I thought, for a long time now, I don't love money and I don't hoard it or anything like that. But I definitely, one of the reasons I was stubborn was because I just didn't want to go and spend a bunch of money to fix myself, my health problems. I could even be wrong. Whatever is wrong with me might just require medical checkups or some medicine, and it doesn't require a lot of money. I don't know. Lots of times we can come up with worries in our head that make us stubborn because you think a situation's going to go exactly how you think, a certain way. But we don't know the future. You might think the situation's going to go exactly like this, and this, due to, maybe recency bias, or just you think there's no way it could happen anyway else. But God illustrates time and time again in the Bible that that's just not true. If you trust in Him, He'll get you through what's going to happen. He's going to get you through what's going to happen regardless of if it does go through the way you think it will or not. God instead wants you to be obedient and to go through with what you're being stubborn about, because it's what you need. It might not be what you want. It probably is not what you want. But it's what you need to do. I say that after months and months and months now of, being stubborn about my health problems, just kind of pushing them to the side and not doing anything about them. Just not caring about them. I figured, I might be dying. I don't say that lightly, but unironically, I think I might be dying at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't live past 35 or 40. Right now I'm 25, but regardless, God says to be obedient and to walk with Him. Even if I were to only have 15 years left to live, 10, 15 years due to health problems, I can still do an enormous amount in 1 year. I can do more in 1 year than God might have someone else do in 30, 40, 50. You don't know how God's going to walk with you through the things that are coming, or the opportunities He'll put in front of you. I know that there's cost to giving in to the things you're being stubborn about. It's not easy, both physically and mentally, to actually sit down and talk with God about it, or to accept what God would have you do about it. But again, God knows best. We always think we know what's best for our own lives. But to be honest, lots of times we're wrong. God knows us better than we do. He sees the heart, He sees the subconscious that we don't see. He knows things about us that we don't know. Don't hold on to stubbornness and the things that are just plaguing you every so often in your head that, kind of forces you to like push it away in angst so you can go focus on something else that you would rather just spend your time on. Just remember that God also says, or Jesus says, I believe it's Matthew 10, that, you must love him more, you must basically love him more than any person on earth. You must, follow him. You must hate other people as much as you love him. Basically, kind of in like a quote-unquote comparison way. Actually hate people or like dislike other people. It's just like how much you're supposed to have him above like other humans, basically. Or you're not worthy of him, as he says. And, that's not an easy pill to swallow. A lot of us have gone through things that have us very attached to family and friends. But that's what Jesus says. You must have him. Obviously, if I could, I would put this hand to the ceiling and this hand to the floor. That big of a difference, but that wouldn't even be the truth of exactly how much of a difference he wants. It would be this other hand to infinity and this other hand to the floor. Just don't be stubborn about the things you know you need to fix. It's going to cause problems later on. It's always going to cause problems later on. You think that it's not if you just ignore it, but it's going to cause problems later on. Hope anyone seeing this today might be willing to talk to God about what they're going through instead of ignoring it for another day.